Smoke danced above the jungle trees, curling into the blood-orange sky like a warning. The beasts had come down from the mountains again, this time in greater numbers. Their roars echoed through the valley, shaking the ground beneath the alien village built from glowing roots and carved stones. Everyone knew what it meant. War had returned. Kaylee stood at the edge of the outer shield, her armored hand gripping the curved blade strapped to her back. Her tribe had trained for generations to repel the monsters. The beasts weren't just wild predators. They were cursed creations of the old war, made of muscle, horns, and molten breath. Even the bravest of warriors had fallen to their claws. This time, Kaylee feared they wouldn't survive. She glanced toward the sky. The elders had sent a signal days ago hoping for help, but no reply came. Not from the Union, not from the high factions, not even from their so-called allies. They were alone. Again. Then the horn sounded, deep and final. The beasts were near. The jungle cracked under their steps. Kaylee's heart pounded, not from fear but fury. They had lost too much already. Her mother, her brother, half her village. She would not watch the rest die. As the shield dropped, revealing the charred earth ahead, Kaylee stepped forward, leading the first line. Spears raised, war drums echoed. The jungle exploded with motion. Beasts taller than trees charged, eyes burning, jaws wide. The ground seemed to fall away beneath them. Then, the sky cracked. Not thunder, not lightning, a ship. It dropped from the clouds like a silver fang, cutting through the smoke. It didn't belong to any alien tribe or known faction. Its design was strange, old yet advanced. The moment it touched the earth, everything shook. A single figure stepped out. The villagers paused. Even the beasts froze for a moment, confused. He wasn't one of them. Pale skin, short hair, wearing something simple, dark, and slightly torn. A human. Kaylee's eyes narrowed. What was a human doing here? Their kind were mostly myths. They were never part of the Great Wars. Stories said they had vanished after the Galactic rift. Most believed they were extinct. Others whispered they were something else, something dangerous. The human walked forward calmly as if the battlefield didn't exist. A heavy crest rested against his bare chest, glowing with orange and red lines. Kaylee couldn't take her eyes off it. It pulsed like a heartbeat. The nearest beast roared and charged. Kaylee shouted a warning, but the human didn't move. Then something strange happened. The crest lit up, not just glowing, but burning. A ring of fire spread around him. The air shimmered with heat. When the beast leapt, it didn't make it 2 steps closer. It was thrown back as if struck by an invisible wall. Its body hit the ground hard, shaking the dirt, unmoving. The others hesitated. The human finally looked at Kaylee. His eyes weren't cold. They were calm, tired. But behind them, something ancient burned. She felt it in her chest. He didn't speak, but somehow Kaylee understood. He wasn't here to take over. He wasn't here for glory. He was here because something had awakened. Him. Something tied to the beasts. And that crest. The beasts howled again, trying to regroup. Kaylee ordered her warriors to stand down. Something had changed. The balance had shifted. The human reached to the crest on his chest. It flickered again. Kaylee felt a burning in her own armor. Not painful, but familiar. The human had not come by accident. She realized now. He was part of something older than her world, and the beasts feared him more than any warrior she had ever known. Kaylee stood frozen, her blade still raised, though her arms trembled. She had fought many battles before, had seen her kin fall beside her, but never had she witnessed a beast stopped like that. Not by force, not even by fire, but by one man standing in silence. The human didn't look like a warrior. His body was lean, not bulky. His hands were rough but calm. The crest on his chest pulsed again, and every time it did, Kaylee felt something deep inside her stir. It wasn't fear. It was something heavier. A pull, like gravity, or memory, the Other beasts shifted in confusion. They circled the edges of the battlefield, unsure whether to charge again or flee. One younger beast, smaller than the rest, let out a nervous growl and took a step forward. Kaylee opened her mouth to command an attack, but the human raised his hand, not toward the beast, toward her. She flinched as heat rushed through her armor. Her chestplate glowed faintly. She looked down and gasped. A faint pattern, almost invisible before, began to show. Lines of light traced through the metal, matching the design of the human's crest. The burning wasn't fire. It was connection. The human finally spoke. "I didn't come for war," he said, "but I won't let them take this world." His voice was deep, but not loud. Each word felt heavy, as if they were shaped from stone. The language he spoke wasn't hers, yet she understood every word. The crest translated everything. The elder priestess stepped forward, staff in hand. "What are you?" she asked with a shaking voice. "No one touches the beasts and survives. No outsider bears the mark of the flame crest." The human looked at her, then slowly turned his gaze back to Kaylee. "I don't know how I got this crest," he said, "but it woke up when your world called out." Kaylee's throat tightened. That made no sense. The flame crest was a lost artifact, said to be part of the ancients who first walked the stars. Her people believed it had vanished into the void. Now it burned within a human. The beasts were restless again. Their leader, a massive, one-eyed brute with blackened horns, stepped through the fire. Its steps made the ground quake. It sniffed the air and let out a deep, challenging roar. Its gaze locked with the humans, and then it charged. Kaylee shouted and ran forward too, blade drawn, determined to protect him, even if he was a mystery. But she never reached the beast. The human moved fast, faster than she thought possible. His palm struck the ground. Fire erupted in a perfect circle around him. The charging beast crashed into the wall of flame and screamed, not from pain, but from fear. It dropped to its knees. Kaylee skidded to a stop. All around her, the beasts began to back away. The burning crest on the human's chest brightened, flames swirling upward like wings. The sky turned orange, and for a moment the smoke parted above. The one-eyed beast looked up at him and whimpered. Then, without another sound, the monster turned and ran. The rest followed. The jungle shook as they vanished into the trees, gone, as quickly as they had come. Kaylee stared at the human, breathless. "You didn't kill them," she whispered. "I didn't have to," he replied. "They saw what's inside me." She didn't know whether to bow or run. But one thing was clear. The beasts weren't the only ones who now feared the crest. The village remained quiet long after the beasts vanished. The fire still burned on the outskirts and smoke drifted lazily across the sky. But the silence was louder than any battle cry. No one cheered. No one moved. Kylie stood beside the human. Her blade still rested in her hand, but she no longer felt the need to use it. She turned her head slightly and studied him. His eyes were closed now, as if listening to something she couldn't hear. The crest on his chest slowly dimmed, though it still pulsed softly with light. She looked down at her own armor. The lines that had glowed moments ago were still faintly visible. They weren't part of the original design, they matched his. She didn't understand what it meant, but she couldn't deny it anymore. Something had bonded her to him. The priestess approached carefully, holding her staff tightly as if it might save her. Her voice was soft but stern. "You carry a curse," she said to the human. "That crest belonged to a creature not meant for this age." He opened his eyes and looked at her. "Then maybe your age needs it." Kaylee saw the fear in the priestess's eyes. It wasn't just about the beasts, it was about him. Something ancient had awakened in him, and no one knew whether that made him savior or threat. The villagers began to whisper. Children peeked from behind broken huts. Warriors lowered their weapons. They all stared at the human as if he were something between a god and a ghost. Kaylee stepped forward. "Who are you?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. He stared into the jungle, as if searching for something far away. Then he spoke. "I don't remember my name," he said quietly. But I remember pain, fire, screams, and then silence. Kaylee frowned. You don't know who you are? I was lost, he said. Then I woke up. This crest burned into me. I followed it here. She wanted to ask more, but a sudden tremble in the earth stopped her. Not like before. This was deeper. A low rumble, steady and slow, like the growl of a sleeping monster far beneath their feet. The priestess gasped and fell to her knees. The waking below, she whispered. It has started. Kaylee stepped back. That name was only spoken in myths. A time when the roots of the planet would shake and the sky would crack open. A time when something old and buried would rise. The human turned toward the horizon. The air shifted. Heat pulsed through the trees. Birds flew from the jungle in every direction, fleeing something no one could yet see. Kaylee touched her armor again. The glow was growing stronger. The human clenched his fists. It's calling me again. What is? She asked. He looked at her, and for the first time she saw fear in his eyes. Whatever gave me this, he said. It isn't done. That night the village gathered in silence. Fires were lit. Offerings were placed at the base of the great tree. The priestess chanted words that hadn't been spoken in centuries. Kaylee sat alone, staring at the human from a distance. He stood on the edge of the village facing the dark jungle. The crest on his chest pulsed steadily now, as if it were preparing for something. She remembered the way the beasts had knelt before him, the way their leader had fled. But now she wondered, if the beasts feared him so deeply, then what kind of power was waking up inside him? And what would happen when it finally broke free? The ground kept shaking through the night. At first, it was just a tremble, but by morning, it felt like something alive was breathing beneath the soil. Villagers held each other, afraid to speak. Even the elders stayed silent, and that scared Kaylee more than anything. The human hadn't moved from his place at the edge of the village. He didn't eat. He didn't sleep. He stood there like a statue, the crest on his chest now glowing in slow, steady waves. Sometimes he winced, as if he felt something stabbing deep inside. Kaylee finally walked to him. You need to rest, she said. He didn't answer. She looked at the jungle. Something had changed. It wasn't just the shaking or the strange heat in the wind. The birds had stopped singing. No animal sounds. No movement. It felt like the entire forest was holding its breath. I can feel it too, Kaylee whispered. The human turned to her. The crest is speaking to you now? She nodded. It burns. It spreads through my armor like it's alive. What is it doing? It's searching, he said. It's trying to remember what it once was. Kaylee narrowed her eyes. You think it's a weapon? He looked down at his chest. No, not just a weapon. A key. To what? She asked. Before he could answer, a sound rang out from the jungle. Not a roar, not a growl. Something worse. It was deep and hollow, like a giant drum made from bone. Then came the voice. It wasn't spoken in any language Kaylee knew, but she understood it. Return it. Everyone in the village heard it. Some screamed. Others dropped to their knees. The trees twisted in the wind as if reacting to the sound. Kaylee grabbed the human's arm. What was that? He didn't reply right away. He stared into the jungle, his body tense, his hand slowly moving to the crest. Something ancient, he said. And angry. The priestess appeared behind them, her voice shaking. The old ones have awakened. The crest belongs to them. Kaylee turned. I thought they were legends. They were, the priestess said, but the legends were warnings. Something sealed them beneath this world. And now you've opened the door. The human didn't move. His face was pale. Then I need to go to them. Kaylee stepped in front of him. You'll die. I might, he said. But if I don't, stop this, your world will burn. Kaylee gritted her teeth. Then I'm going with you. He looked at her. You don't understand what this is. I don't care, she said. The crest marked me too. Whatever this is, I'm part of it now. They stared at each other for a long moment. Then he nodded. Together they crossed the shielded border of the village and entered the jungle. The deeper they went, the darker it became. The trees leaned inward. The air grew thick and warm, like breath against skin. The glowing lines in Kaylee's armor brightened with each step. So did the human's crest. They came upon the first marker just before dusk. It was a stone tower, half buried in roots, covered in symbols that lit up as they approached. Kaylee reached out to touch one. Don't, the human warned. But it was too late. The ground opened beneath them and they fell. They didn't fall far, but the chamber they landed in was like nothing Kaylee had ever seen. A wide circle, carved deep beneath the jungle. The walls pulsed, with the same glow as the crest. In the center stood a pillar. Floating above it, another piece of the crest, cracked and blackened. Kaylee stepped toward it, drawn by some force she couldn't fight, and as she reached it, the voice came again. Return what was stolen or be consumed. Kaylee stood in front of the blackened shard floating above the ancient pillar. Her chest felt tight. The glow in her armor pulsed faster, as if it recognized the piece. She reached out, not fully understanding why. The shard called to her. The human grabbed her wrist before she could touch it. His eyes were locked on the fragment. The crest on his chest burned brighter, casting flickers of orange and gold across the walls. We don't know what it'll do, he said. I think it's part of your crest, Kaylee whispered. Or maybe mine too. The moment she said that, the chamber began to tremble. Dust rained from above. The walls glowed brighter. Symbols lit up one by one, circling around them like fireflies. Then the voice returned, louder and closer. You were not chosen, you were warned. The shard shook violently and then shot forward. Before they could react, it struck the human's chest. He gasped and fell to one knee, gripping the burning crest with both hands. The lines across his body lit up like fire veins. Kaylee rushed to him, but the heat pushed her back. His skin cracked, with light not like injury but like something beneath it was breaking free. Then it stopped. The chamber went still. The glow faded. The air turned cold. The human slowly stood. Kaylee stepped closer. His eyes had changed. Before they had been calm and tired. Now they blazed like twin suns. The crest had merged with the shard. It was no longer pulsing. It was steady, like a heart that had found its full rhythm. What happened? She asked quietly. I remember, he said. She waited, holding her breath. I wasn't just given this crest, he said. I was built for it. Kaylee blinked. Built? He nodded. Long ago, your ancestors feared what slept below. They built weapons to guard against it. I was one of them, a human template, made stronger, faster, connected to the flame core. But I was never activated, not until now. Kaylee stepped back, trying to understand. You're not just a man. No, he said. I'm a vessel, a failsafe. A deep sound echoed from above. The ground rumbled again, this time harder than before. Cracks split the walls. The pillar shattered behind them. We have to go, the human said. Kaylee didn't argue. She followed him out of the collapsing chamber, back through the cracked tunnel that had opened when they fell. They reached the jungle floor as the ground burst open behind them. Fire shot up from the earth. A monstrous shape began to rise from beneath the jungle floor. Massive limbs made of molten rock and ash clawed toward the sky. Kaylee froze. The legends were true. The old one had awakened. The creature roared and its voice shook the heavens. Villagers far in the distance screamed. The shield flickered. Trees were torn from the earth. The human stepped forward, the crest on his chest glowing like a star. Kaylee turned to him. Can you stop it? He didn't answer. Instead, he placed a hand on her armor. The glow from his crest passed into hers. Lines lit up across her chest plate, arms, and legs. They weren't just decorative, they were activating. She felt strength pour into her body. Her limbs no longer felt heavy. Her mind became sharp. She could see the movements of the beast more clearly, even as it towered over the land. "You're not alone," he said. Kaylee nodded, gripping her blade. She wasn't just a warrior anymore. She was part of something older, something stronger. The beast saw them, and it charged. The world shook as the beast charged through the jungle, tearing trees from the ground like weeds. Its skin glowed with cracks of fire. Its eyes were molten pools full of fury. Each step left burning footprints behind. The old one had awakened, and it wanted destruction. Kaylee stood beside the human, her armor glowing like never before. The energy he had passed into her still burned through her body. She could feel every part of herself becoming sharper, faster. Her blade felt like an extension of her thoughts. The human didn't flinch as the monster roared. His crest burned brighter, with each second answering the beast's rage with growing power of its own. "What do we do?" Kaylee asked, gripping her weapon. "We face it," he said calmly, "but not with fear." The beast raised a flaming arm and swung it toward them. The earth cracked under the force. Kaylee and the human jumped in opposite directions as the blow landed. Fire exploded around them, but the Crest's power shielded their bodies. Kaylee rolled and landed on one knee. Without thinking, she raised her blade and slashed forward. A wave of light burst from the edge, slicing through a chunk of the monster's arm. It roared in pain and stumbled back. She blinked, shocked by what she had just done. The human stood, again smiling slightly. "You've unlocked it." Kaylee stared at the blade. It had never done that before. "The armor, the weapon, they respond to the crest," he said. "You were chosen too." The beast recovered quickly. It let out a deep growl and slammed its fists into the ground. Stone spikes shot up from the earth, aiming straight for them. Kaylee dashed forward, using her glowing boots to leap from one falling stone to another. She jumped high and landed near the beast's shoulder. With a fierce cry, she drove her blade into its molten flesh. The monster shrieked. Lava sprayed around her, but her armor held. She kicked off the beast and flipped backward, landing beside the human again. "You're not just a failsafe," she said, breathing hard. "You're a weapon of hope." He didn't answer. His eyes were focused on the crest. It was now changing shape, spinning slightly, forming a full ring of fire around his chest. "It's reaching its final form," he said. "And when it does..." He stopped. "What?" Kaylee asked. He looked at her, face serious. "I don't know if I'll survive it." She shook her head. "No. We fight together. You don't fall alone." The beast roared again. This time it began to pull energy from the ground itself. The sky darkened. Thunder cracked above. A storm was building, not from clouds, but from power. Raw, ancient energy. The human stepped forward. "The old one was never meant to wake," he said. "But now that it has, I remember why we were created." Kaylee watched him closely. "You can stop it?" "Yes," he said. "But it will cost me." She grabbed his arm. "We'll find another way." He smiled gently. "There may not be one." The crest began to spin faster, creating a ring of burning light around him. Wind whipped through the trees. The beast charged again, slower this time, but more focused. It knew who its true enemy was now. Kaylee stood beside the human, blade ready. "Then if this is the end," she said, "we face it together." They both ran forward. The beast swung. The human jumped, and for the first time the crest left his body, floating in front of him like a burning star, aimed directly at the heart of the monster. The floating crest spun faster than Kaylee's eyes could follow. It was no longer just a mark on his chest. It had become a sphere of pure light, blazing with golden fire and wrapped in ancient symbols. Every pulse sent shockwaves through the air. The earth beneath them cracked. The sky above split open like shattered glass. The beast roared in confusion. It halted mid-charge, sensing something it could not understand. For the first time, it looked afraid. The human hovered slightly above the ground. His body was stiff, glowing from within. The crest was no longer feeding off him, it was pulling from everything around him. The trees, the air, the soil. Even Kaylee felt it tugging at her armor, at her bones. "Is this it?" she shouted. He didn't answer. She tried to move closer, but the heat forced her back. The human's eyes were open but glowing white. His voice was no longer his own. It echoed in her head like 1,000 voices speaking as one. The flame core is complete. Final sequence unlocked. Kaylee's heart pounded. "You're going to burn yourself out." He turned his head toward her slowly, his face calm. "I was never meant to last," he said. "I was only meant to protect." The beast howled and lunged one last time, claws reaching forward. Its mouth opened wide, showing rows of burning teeth. It slammed into the ground and leaped, aiming straight for the human. The crest responded. It didn't fire a beam. It didn't explode. It simply folded into the human's chest once more and released a pulse of pure white light. Time stopped. Kaylee watched as the wave of energy spread outward. Trees bent, rocks shattered. The monster froze mid-air, suspended, like it was trapped in glass. Then the light reached it. The beast didn't explode, it unraveled. Its body peeled away in pieces of ash and flame, drifting upward like smoke. Its roar faded into silence. Kaylee shielded her eyes, but the light didn't hurt. It was warm, comforting. When it finally faded, the jungle was quiet again. The skies had cleared, and where the beast once stood, there was nothing left but a scorched mark in the shape of a spiral. She ran forward. The human was lying on the ground still. The crest on his chest had dimmed. No glow, no flame, just cold metal now, cracked down the center. Kaylee dropped to her knees beside him. "No," she whispered. "You said we'd fight together." He didn't move. She placed her hand on his chest. The lines in her armor flickered once, then died out. The link between them had broken. She shook him gently. "You don't get to vanish like that. Not after saving us. Not after waking whatever this power was." His fingers twitched. Kaylee gasped. The human opened one eye, barely. "You're still here," he whispered. "You almost weren't," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. He gave a weak smile. "I thought it would kill me." "It nearly did," she said. "But it's gone now. The beast is gone. The world is safe." He nodded slowly. "Then it was worth it." Kaylee helped him sit up. The crest was dull now, but still intact. Soft hum came from within it. "It's not finished," he muttered. She frowned. "What do you mean?" He looked at the horizon. "The flame core might be silent now," he said. "But the roots of this world, they're still shifting. Something else is moving." Kaylee followed his gaze. Far in the distance, clouds gathered unnaturally fast. The sky darkened again. The old one was not alone. Kaylee stood beside the human at the edge of the shattered battlefield. Ash still floated in the air, and the circular mark where the beast had vanished still glowed faintly in the dirt. But her eyes were fixed on the sky ahead. The clouds were rolling unnaturally fast. A deep violet storm circled above the distant mountains. The same mountains the beasts had once come from. Now something worse stirred there. The human leaned on her shoulder, weak but standing. His crest no longer glowed with fire. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat near the end of a long race. "I thought it was over," Kaylee whispered. "It was just the first," he said. "The beast was a gatekeeper, a test." Kaylee turned to him. "A test for what?" He looked down at his cracked crest. The flame core wasn't just a weapon. It was a message. One last signal sent to anyone strong enough to respond. "I was only the beginning," she shook her head. "Then who sent the signal? Who made the crest?" He stared at the storm, jaw tight. "Your world isn't the first to face this," he said. "A long time ago, many civilizations fell trying to stop the old ones. My creators were among them. They built me as a final stand in case someone survived long enough to fight again." Kaylee's heart dropped. "So they're coming now," The true ones. He nodded. I delayed them. But I didn't destroy the root. I just burned the first thorn. Behind them, the villagers gathered slowly, unsure of what to believe. Some cheered. Others prayed. Most just watched the sky. The priestess approached, limping slightly from the quake. You lit a fire that may never go out, she said. Kaylee stepped forward. Then we'll keep it burning. The priestess frowned. You barely survived one, creature. How will you stop the next? Kaylee looked at the human. Together, she said. But not just him and me. All of us. The human turned to the crowd. His voice, though tired, carried strength. This world has warriors, he said. It has spirit. The Flame Corps chose here for a reason. You're not weak. You're not forgotten. Kaylee raised her blade. We rebuild, we prepare, we train. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You'll need more than swords. You'll need knowledge. She smiled faintly. Then teach us. You remember the old ways now? He nodded. Not all, but enough to start something new. The priestess slowly lowered her staff. If this is the path we walk, we must do it as one people. That night the village didn't sleep. Fires were lit again, not for fear but for purpose. Blacksmiths reforged old weapons. Elders recited forgotten legends. Children painted new symbols on their homes, symbols shaped like the crest. The next morning, Kaylee stood atop the mountain ridge beside the human. He wore armor now, crafted from village steel and ancient tech. She wore her glowing plate, its marks now permanent. The bond they shared had changed them both. What will you do if you burn out again? She asked. He shrugged slightly. Hope you're strong enough to carry what's left. She smirked. I'm not carrying you again. He smiled. Fair. Then the earth rumbled again. A second crest lit up in the sky, this one massive, floating, above the mountains like a burning moon. Kaylee felt the warmth spread across her chest. Her armor pulsed in sync with the light. It's calling us, she said. Then we answer, he replied. And together, without fear, they stepped toward the storm, human and warrior, crest bearers of a forgotten age, ready to fight whatever waited beyond the flame.